Wow. Looks like our hero and Ava are getting after it. Now, one of the things you may have noticed in that was how Ava reinforced their sales methodology, which is one of the most important investments a sales leader can make. And when I think about sales methodologies, I think about my buddy Seth Marrs, Chief Strategy Officer at Sandler. What's up, Seth?
Good, good. How are you?
Now, at Forrester, you led research on AI and sales tech. And now at Sandler, you're reconciling that analyst point of view with the practitioner's challenges. So how do you do it?
Yeah, I can't just tell people to go do it and figure it out anymore. I kind of have to do it myself. So it kind of adds a layer of practicality to this that is really good. I mean, it's the cool thing about being an analyst and going through this stuff is you get to see everything. You get to see all the cool tools. You get in-depth demos, but you don't ever really get to like really play with them, use them in the context of business. So being able to do this allows me to do that, but it also means that you've got to find a way to get the value that you could see as an analyst and make it a reality. So it's been fun, but it's a little bit more accountability from that department.
Wayne calls over, but the notion that there's constraints on their side to implementing the methodology, implementing the technology, getting value out of it, hit me like a ton of bricks. How did you deal with that transition?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a prioritization game, right? Like you're looking at it and going, okay, what do I really need? Where do I really make the sacrifice versus what I want to do? So the prioritization side becomes so much more important. And I mean, it's good. And it also puts stress on the long game. Like, but you've got to have it. And if you don't keep pressing on those things, even if you don't get something now, you're going to find you're behind. Like if you're working on only things that are for today, that's a problem. So trying to do that and prioritize, okay, I got to be successful today, but I have to continually invest in the long game. So we can be positively moving forward ahead of the market.
The methodologies like yours rely on nuanced practices like discovery and effective question asking. Where do you see AI fitting into these very human-centric disciplines?
I don't think that breaks it. I think it actually makes it better because the part that's really interesting for me is if you think about how a sales deal goes, there's never two of the same deal. There's some guy that was, I can't remember what his name was, that was talking about like you never shuffle a deck of cards the same way twice. Like it's just the odds are like you can never do it. And that's just 52 different kind of variables. And if you think about the variables in a deal, there are so many. So it's just impossible to work the same deal. So what a methodology and what a foundation does is give you a baseline to work with. So it allows you to spend the time and the effort to be able to make the most of those unique situations. And the hope that I have with it and with our methodology in particular is it allows the seller, like the true differences in a seller, to come out. It brings that out and makes them the best that they could be, while letting AI take care of some of the admin stuff, so it gives them more time, and then also just some of the understanding of what they do well and don't do well to allow them to continuously learn and become really robust. Because I mean, if we're honest, right, a lot of people do the training and then walk away, and then it just is gone. And I think that should and will end because of what AI can do.
Now, you've overseen transformation at large organizations. How should leaders integrate AI into their methodology without creating change fatigue?
So the key thing for me is I don't think nothing's new in the zoo, right? Like it's a tool to use to be able to do it. The problem I see is when the transformation is AI, I want to be an AI company. Well, okay, what does that even mean? Instead of I have a problem that I really need to fix, AI is an amazing tool to solve it, so I'm going to go solve it. And that's where I've seen some of the biggest successes, and with talking to others that are using it. They go, I have a problem A, and I'm looking at my tool set, and wow, an AI capability, I can apply it to this problem and really solve it. And in that situation, it isn't really anything new in terms of like AI in particular. It's just making a process better. And in those situations, life becomes easier for everyone. So it's your classic transformation type work.
Now, Seth, as someone who now oversees corporate strategy, how do you see AI changing the nature of methodologies? Are they now dead?
So, like, think about what AI is built on. It's built on data and Rails. So, if I have a whole crap ton of data and no structure to it to understand how it works, then how good is it going to be? But if I can use, say, a methodology to frame it into a set of structured like responses, a structured understanding of how a deal went or how we think a deal should go, now I can actually take artificial intelligence and put it into context and make it work. So I see it as complementary. The other thing that I think is going to be really cool that comes from that is that will frame just standard methodology stuff. But because I can consume so much data, I can understand what's going on at a level I've never understood before. I also think it's going to take methodologies and allow companies like Sandler and others to be able to take that and turn it into every customer has a custom methodology. So it's standard frame, but I'm looking at that and then understanding what works for you in particular. I also think it's going to challenge the methodology itself. Does it really work? And if it doesn't, which companies in certain areas, which companies are going to use this technology to adapt versus be really stubborn about it and say it doesn't? Because if I have full transparency and I can see if these things are working, it's going to test whether this stuff is actually real. I think that's a good thing. If you believe it's real and it's proven it's real, that's fantastic. If you believe it's real and they're showing signs of areas where maybe one thing wasn't as strong as the other and you adapt and change and make it better, I think it allows for a lot more than, it's there's tons of death of stuff, right? So I think this is actually could frame it in a way that if you use it right, it could be really valuable.
Okay, Seth, last question. You've mentored sales leaders. What do you think their number one blind spot is when it comes to a practical implementation of AI methodology and coaching?
They see the world as it was. So if you think about just coaching, and I'll give you a classic example on the coaching side. Like if you think about the standard sales leader, they coach, they go and they do a ride along with a seller. That's really their only chance. Or maybe they could listen to a phone call or whatever, and they go in and they're listening to the whole call, or they're on a ride along, and they default to, wait, I don't get many moments with these sellers, so I'm going to give them everything I could possibly think of they're doing wrong, up to and including, like, I think you should, you get this massive list of things that you could do better because I'm only meeting with you once or twice. So that made sense at that time. Well, in a world where I'm able to use AI to analyze every call, to analyze everything that's going on, you need the sales leader to step away. And the teaching for a sales leader needs to go from, I need to show you all the things you need to do, to I need to mentor you and guide you on how to do these things on your own. And I'm going to step in and coach and guide you on the exceptions, not on the one-off that I saw. And that's think about the shift in that. That's a very big shift. And if you've been a sales leader for 20, 30 years, it's going to be really hard. And especially when you start actually recording phone calls and getting analysis, it's always shocking to people to go, wait, these people aren't selling the way that I thought they were selling. So they have a tendency to even jump further in. And it's like, no, sales leaders are going to have to learn to step away and to become mentors and guides a lot more than like tactical running in and trying to fix every problem. Show your seller how to fix it.
Yeah. So where do you think that comes from? Is that just a function of that's the era they came up in? That's the way that they were taught to do it? What do you think drives that behavior?
I think part of it is most of them were ex-sellers, right? So it's a comfort zone for them to be in that. And the other is just capacity, right? I only had one ride along that I could do every month with my sales team. So I needed to get it all out. So in a world where I can see every deal, I can see every interaction, I overcoach because I have so much more information I thought. I just take that information and use it the same way. It's like, nope, take a step back. Now that you have all this information, you should really reconsider how you coach and guide and almost take a step back. Use the tools and tell a seller, hey, this is important, but not important enough for me to jump in every time you do it wrong. So I'm only going to jump in when you do it wrong consistently. And then this part, like if you screw up an objection and the deal's at risk, I'm coming in right now and we're going to go. And I'll see all those too. But like in a world where I only was able to do one of those a month, you can understand it. Nah, it's not the world we live in now.
Thank you, Seth. That perspective really highlights how sales methodologies underpin everything.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Let's check back in with our rep to see how he and Ava are moving this deal along.